Hello and welcome to EV Review Ireland. My name is Reilly. Today we're looking at the refreshed Hyundai KONA, and it's one sometimes people forget about, but it's still an amazing range vehicle, well built. Size wise sometimes they can get a bit tight in the back and in the boot, but a lot of people like this car in a couple of different variants because it comes in a combustion engine and it also comes in fully electric. But as you know, on this channel we only deal in the fully electric. And how would you know this is the fully electric one? And again, like a lot of electric vehicles, you'll know because it has no front grille. And with the refreshed version, this is all nice and smooth, whereas the other one kind of had a checker plate finish. So really like the styling on it. You also have these new designed daylight running lights, and they're also your indicators. Underneath you do have halogen bulbs, they're not LEDs. You have your charging here, 7 kilowatt on AC and on DC 77 kilowatt. Two different battery sizes as well. You have a 39 kilowatt hour and a 64 kilowatt hour, with that range on the smaller battery about 300, and that's what this is the smaller battery one, getting about 294 when I got into it. And then with the larger battery, the 64 kilowatt hour battery, that is up at around 470, and with good weather and easy driving I've seen people getting over 500 kilometers on it. This is the entry-level Hyundai Electric. You used to have the Ioniq, the original, the OG, also known as the Windknife, but now you've got the Ioniq 5. But for this, prices are starting at around 34,000 euros, going all the way up to about 44,000 euros, depending on the trim. You've got executive, you've got premium, and then you've got premium with two-tone, but obviously with the black wouldn't make much difference. Otherwise, on the front, it's all fairly same. You have some cooling in underneath for battery cooling, etc. And then you have some aero as well. Here, the air cuttings down along the side. No frunking underneath, but you can get some aftermarket trays that you can put in there if you wanted to have some storage in underneath there. 17-inch wheels. Good size wing mirrors, in fairness. You have a roof rail with a roof rack attachments. You've got the body coloured door handles, and also you've noticed on the upgraded refresh that the wheel arches are body coloured. Again, on the black it's hard to tell it, but on the solid blue or the solid greys you'll see that the wheel arch is the same colour and the side mouldings are the same body colour as well. And then you've got that flashing of black back here in the C-pillar with that C-pillar window. Overall, I think it was a nice little update to the front. I think the front is what dated it, but this new smooth front is really nice. You've got this Hyundai badge and you've got a little light inside there, and when that light illuminates, it means don't go near any of the high-powered cables, which is a nice little safety function that they've put on the outside of it. Otherwise, that's the front and the side of the Hyundai KONA. Let's have a spin around the back and have a look at the rear design. Hasn't changed much either, in fairness. Down along the back of the KONA and starting at the top, you've got your shark fin aerial, you've got your spoiler with your high level brake light, a wiper, which is always great to see on any car. You've got your LED brake lights at the rear, and then your indicators and your reversing lights underneath it, your large Hyundai sign and a Hyundai name badge. But then on the left hand side you've got KONA, and then you'll also know if you're following a KONA whether it's electric or not, because it has electric in underneath. Some grey and black mouldings in underneath. Reversing cameras, probably one of the nicest reversing cameras that I've had, and we'll talk about that out in the drive. Inside then you have your boot, 330 odd litres, so not huge but not bad. You have a small shelf in underneath for storage and for your pump, etc. There isn't a spare wheel in it. You've got some tie-off points on the actual floor pan, but also on the top, and you've got a light in here as well, and you've got your Hyundai charging cable. Seats fold 60-40, there isn't a ski hatch, and you've got your parcel shelf here. Let's have a look on the inside. What's it like on the inside of the Hyundai KONA? And you may recall I've already had this on the channel. At the time I wasn't able to get it directly from Hyundai, so I partnered with UFO Drive here in Dublin, which is an electric car rental company. But that was an older generation version, whereas this one is the refresh version. And what you have is pretty similar, don't get me wrong. Lots of buttons on the door, lots of buttons over your knees, lots of buttons everywhere. So if you are a fan of physical buttons and knobs, the Hyundai KONA will not let you down. Doors, all your electrics, and your the ability to lock windows and lock doors. And over your knee then is ASC lights, leveling, and also brightness of inside of the dash. It's a physical button to start, and it's a key. Steering wheel is a good size. Some people don't like the feel of the actual material on it, whether it's pleather or leather. On the left hand side then you've got your typical Hyundai voice control, volume, etc. And on the right hand side it's modes and menus and travel assists. Behind that then you have your regenerative braking, and there's a couple of different levels on that. What they've done with the refresh version is they haven't allowed you, when you change the drive mode, to keep the regen level. It moves around, so if it's eco it's more, and if it's sport it's less, etc, etc. You have your wipers on the right, and you've got your lights and indicators on the left. Behind the actual steering wheel then you have a 10.25 inch screen, really clear. Great to see that upgrade, and it gives you all the information. Left is speed, right is what's going on in the car, and then in the middle you can change that to what's displayed. It can be speed, it can be navigation, etc. Starting with the center console, moving from back to front, you have a large pocket in underneath, you've got a little cubby hole, you've got heated seats in the Hyundai Kona, and also heated steering wheel, your camera, your automatic hold and your drive modes, 2 cup holders, your automatic handbrake, and your buttons for your drive mode selection, park, reverse, neutral. And in underneath then you have a USB type A and a Qi wireless charging pad in underneath that little cover. You've got physical buttons for your HVAC system, temperature and speed, but also there's an automatic mode. And then up on top then you have the updated 10.25 inch screen, similar to the driver infotainment cluster. And you'll recognize the menu because it's that Hyundai Kia group menu. If you jumped into a Kia EV6, this is the exact same, just a change of icons. And so you've got your regular home, and it has multi-screen on them with all your different buttons. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are wired. And you've got your shortcut buttons underneath, your map, etc, etc. No sunroof in this version, and I believe in some markets and also some trims you also have a head-up display, but not on this version that we're trialing today. You've got your glove box, which actually is a fairly decent size. A lot of greys inside here, and the headliner is a light grey. The seats are a light grey as well. And you know what, it breaks it up a small bit rather than black. I recently looked at the MG4, which would be a competitor to this and similar in size, and you'll see that review on the channel. Getting a great reaction because of the price of it, or the expected price of it. At this time of filming we still haven't got a price on it, but it's going to be that sub 30 mark, whereas when you're looking at the likes of this, which are mid 30s to mid 40s, as much as it has an amazing range, you're starting to get competition coming into the marketplace. Now this does have that amazing Hyundai warranty, which I do believe is 5 years. Looking around to see if I can see the sticker somewhere, but really good warranty on the actual car itself, and then on the battery there's a really good Hyundai warranty on it as well. That's the front. It's set for me. It is manually adjusted. I'm 6'2", 188 centimeters. That's where I'd set my seat for it. Let's have a seat in the back and see how we get on there. What's it like in the back of the Hyundai Kona? It's dark because of that privacy glass in here. That seat set for me, and you get 2 adults into it, and I'm 6'2", 188 centimeters. I can't get my feet behind, or my legs behind myself. Feet actually going in underneath, but I'd have to sit legs akimbo on the, with that seat set for me. So 6 foot probably is the biggest you could fit into the back. Because this is a combustion engine vehicle as well, it's not a ground up EV, they have put the batteries in underneath the bench and in underneath the floor. So trying to accommodate batteries in a vehicle that hasn't been made to take batteries sometimes can be a bit of an undertaking for manufacturers. Now, Hyundai do a good job of it, and the range is excellent and the efficiency is amazing, but just space-wise, the boot, as we talked about when we were outside, is a small bit on the smaller side, and in the rear cabin here, it is... No, I'm not the norm. I'm slightly taller than the norm, so if you've got kids, etc., you'll have loads of space in the back here. Now, there is no USB charging or power, and that's where it starts to get a small bit dated, and there is no ventilation. There's no vents in this center console, and there's no vents in the D-pillar as well. You have electric windows, and you have a small pocket in the door, and you also have an armrest and 3 headrests. So they sell very well because of the range and good value and build quality and that warranty, etc. But just The feedback sometimes is the seats in the back are a small bit small, and the back seat, or the boot, is a small bit small, but you know, it's easy to park, it's easy to move, so there is pros and cons to all of these pieces. You are up against the likes of the Volkswagen ID3, the Kia Niro EV, which has been refreshed, and it's as much as it hasn't changed much physically, with regards to the gubbins inside, the electric motor, etc. That Niro EV is a refreshed looking electric vehicle, and it's bigger in the back and bigger in the boot, so you're starting, but price wise it is on the upper end, up against the bigger battery Kona. That's the front and the back. Let's take it out for a spin. What's it like driving the Hyundai Kona refreshed? The refresh is on the outside. It's pretty similar, I believe, in underneath. It's still a front mounted motor, 150 kilowatts, and it has over 200 brake horsepower with nearly 400 newton meters of torque. So wheel spin at the front is a factor or feature of the Hyundai Kona, and it has been on the original version as well. And so if you give it too many beans, if you don't feather that throttle in, it'll spin on wet weather, it'll spin coming away from a junction. So, and there are other YouTube videos out there where you see people burning rubber. Unfortunately, that's not my channel, and but otherwise, the seating position, because it's an SUV, it's really good. It has very good visibility in all sides. That A-pillar is actually fairly thin, and the rear view, as long as the headrests aren't up fully, but you still have a fairly wide and deep window at the back there, and that has that rear wiper. Those infotainment screen and driver instrument cluster, really good, and it's great to have the scale, the increase in size on both of them, and the digitization of the driver infotainment cluster. It's a bit early in the morning here, and I'm trying to remember everything I'm supposed to say and get everything out. Yeah, it's got good power. It is smooth. Road noise is not bad. I remember when I had it before, and they may have improved the road noise on it. I remember the road noise being a bit loud on it. I remember there wasn't any acoustic lining in the wheel arches, but this refreshed version doesn't seem to have that issue. This specific one anyway, which was always a good thing. But the Hyundai Kona Electric is one that it's kind of ticks away in the sales figures, and it's global. Obviously, you get it in the United States if you're watching it there. You get it obviously all across Europe. It's a small compact SUV. It's electric. It's got phenomenal range. It's hard to knock it. The levels of regen are interesting as well. So you've got 3 levels of regen, and as I mentioned when we did the static sit around, when you change the drive mode, it changes. It doesn't remember what level you set at, so it's an inconvenience, but you'll get over it. The other thing it does is it doesn't have one pedal drive, it has one paddle drive. So what you can do is, as you're coming up to a stop, you can use your regenerative brake and paddle, the one on the left, to actually slow you down and stop you. Now, with the auto hold, which you have to press every time as well you get into the car, you still have to put on the brake, step on the brake to actually engage that. The pedal won't do that. It will stop you, but it won't hold you, as in like an electronic handbrake, which I like. And I like the fact they call it one paddle driving as well. So yeah, the Hyundai Kona Electric, it's been around for a while. It's probably starting to get a bit dated. Looking forward to seeing, they probably will get rid of the Kona name and bring in an Ioniq 3 or 4, dependent on what way they're doing the numbering and what size they configure it to. I'd say this is the last hurrah for the Kona for next year or two, and then we'll have the updated version of it. But it's been a great electric vehicle. It's been a phenomenal entry point for a number of people because of the range on the bigger battery. Even the smaller battery at 300 kilometers, it suits a lot of people. For them to get into an electric vehicle and to see that range, to have this build quality, a lot of the market share of electric vehicles, a lot of it has to go down to, and as much as we talk about Nissan Leafs and as much as we talk about Teslas, Hyundai and what they've done in the number of years with this and the original Ioniq, but also the Ioniq 5 now, We have to take our hat off to them. Hopefully you've enjoyed my second look at the Hyundai Kona Electric, and this is the refresh version. Let me know in the comments if you have one, if you are thinking of getting one, if you are thinking of getting one, what did I miss out that as a Kona owner? I love to get comments, and I love to get comments from owners of electric vehicles, because I get it for a couple of days, sometimes a couple of weeks, but it's a short period of time, and I'm jumping in and jumping out of all different electric vehicles. Where when I get comments from owners and they agree with me or disagree with me, it's great, because other owners and other people looking for a Hyundai or whatever vehicle, they're in the comments to see what other people are saying. So do leave a comment. We're on a drive also to get to 10,000 subscribers in 2022. So if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do so. Like the video, share it with somebody that's thinking about going electric. The Kona is a really good, actually my aunt is thinking about going electric now that I remember it, and she rang me up and she was looking for advice, and I recommended the Kona. So I'll have to send this to her, and I'll use my pedals to stop. Remember, if you think an EV is for you, leave it to me and I'll review. Thank you very much for watching.